All right, we're getting closer and closer to putting this floor back in there the final time. There are a few things that we got to address before we do that. And before I get started today, Charlie had a question about my rotisserie as far as how I've got it set up to suspend the car from it. Typically, this end here is flipped over, and these support pieces support the rear spring bushing pocket. If you look on the frame rail right here, typically attaches to that and supports the car up from underneath. But since I don't have an underneath on the car right now, I've got it suspended from above. I've got a 2x3 that's just setting on top of the spring pocket bolt guys, and it just spans the distance here. The body of the car is super light right now, probably weighs, I don't know, maybe 500 or 600 pounds in total. So not a lot of weight, as well as I've got it on cribbing at the rockers here. It's all level and square and straight. I measure it all the time, but that's how that's setting. Now then, I don't have a fancy laser, but what I do have is string and nuts and tape. And I was able to pull a straight line, take a look here, down the middle of the car. And then I'm also able to suspend lines down. And what I'm able to do there is measure over from the Minitub at the back and at the front over to these strings to the center line and make sure that it's in there straight, right? If it's cocked one way or the other, it's no good. So got those in there. They're sitting in there real straight. They look really good. I'm super happy with how this is starting to turn out. I'll show you right in here how this passenger side is sitting in there. Looking pretty good. I want to make sure that these guys line up all the way up and around here, and they do. They're doing pretty good. I like that. I don't even have it clamped here, but other than the gap, which we're going to fix later, it's lined up real nice this way. It'll need a little bit of adjustment, but that's really nothing. Now, somebody had mentioned that this flange on the inner wheelhouse typically goes on the outside of the outer wheelhouse, but I like the way this is sitting. Like it's got a contour here, and it kind of dips in a little bit. And if I put this on the back side, it just doesn't quite look right. So I like it like this. I think I'm probably going to leave it like this. This guy's looking real good. I'm really happy with it. We'll go over and take a look at the other side there. All right, here's the driver's side. We'll take a look in here. Down at the front, this guy's looking real good. I'm real happy with the fitment in here. It's nice and kind of even. Sorry for the shadows. But up and around, it's looking pretty good until you get back here into this area. And yeah, it's got the gap that we're going to have to deal with later. But if you look at it this way, you'll see that it doesn't quite line up. Little gap here. I can pull on this outer wheelhouse. Once I clamp these together, it kind of goes away. But I think I can adjust this outer wheelhouse in a little bit and close up that gap and make it look real nice. Before I do that, though, I want to drill a couple holes up in the flange here. Wheel around on the inside and show you what I'm talking about. Just along the flange here, so that I can throw a couple of Allen head cap screws in there so that I can bolt this back up into place every time. One up here, a couple over there. Do that, and then I can pull it off, adjust that outer wheelhouse, and then put it back on. And for Charlie, here's inside. Here's where that spring hanger bolts through, and then it's got a little lip on it here, and I put that 2x3 on here, and then I just have the car body setting on it there. Yeah, it's pretty solid. Works pretty good. Okay, I got it bolted up here. There, and there. It's in there real solid. Looks good. Now I can pull this off here, adjust this outer wheelhouse, get it down into place, bolt it back up. Let's do that. Okay, I got that adjusted, bolted it back up here. It's looking real good. You can see how much that gap there has narrowed. Yeah, she's looking real good. See it from the other side. Yeah, it's still a little bit, but I mean, I think we can adjust that whenever we're doing the final fitment on this guy. I don't think it'll be a big deal. we'll go ahead and drill and bolt the other side. Let's go do that. Okay, I got that bolted up there, as well as I marked out where I want my plug welds whenever I go to weld that thing on there, so I can drill that out anytime. As well, I jumped over on the floor and I marked out where I want to drill holes for the plug welds over there. Let's go ahead and drill that out. Here's a quick glimpse of what I'm doing. I marked out where I want my plug welds to be here, about every 2.5 inches or so, and then I came through and drilled them out with the 1/8 inch bit, and then I'll come back with a step bit and drill those out to 9/32 for my plug welds. But as you can see, did the subframe mount there, and yeah, got her all ready to go. Once I get this drilled out, then I'll come in and wipe off this E-coat and then go over it with a couple coats of weld-through primer. I'm going to do the same thing on the inside of the rockers there. Clean those up real good, hit those with weld-through primer, let this dry overnight, and then maybe tomorrow put this floor up in there. Okay, I got this floor pan drilled out and coated in weld-through primer on both sides, looking real good. As I was wire wheeling the inside of these rockers, I noticed there's a couple spots here that I want to touch up and weld up a little bit, just some pock marks that I don't really like. So do that, as well as this is a good opportunity to touch up any little bit of this toe board patch that I want to, since I've got really good access to it, and I may not have good access to it for very long. Okay, I got the pock marks and the rockers all welded up. Did a little bit of touch up on this toe board patch over here. It wasn't looking real great, as well as there were 4 holes up underneath the dash here that I don't know if they had a CB mounted or an 8-track player or whatever, but pretty nasty holes, so I welded those up. As well as I gave it a couple coats of weld-through primer all along the rockers, along this toe board flange, the seat back braces, the other side of those, I hit those with the weld-through primer. I did the front flange of this guy, as well as the seat back braces there. I can pull the Minitubs off and drill those out around the flange, as well as right here where they mount to the back of the rocker. I've got those marked where the flanges are. But first I want to cut the old braces off of the old inner wheel houses and play around with those. Let's do that. Okay, I liberated the trunk deck lid hinge brace and the package tray brace from those old inner wheel houses. I don't guess I needed to keep these guys because Detroit Speed sends you a couple plates to kind of make your own. But I got these cleaned up. Let's go ahead and throw those in there and see how they fit and see what kind of adjustments they're going to need. Okay, here it is up in there. I'll swing over here and take a look at it. It's got a little that way to it. Give me a sec. Why don't we just pull it out of there? And here's what it looks like on the other side. This guy here's got a little curvature to it. Doesn't fit up flush against the back side of this guy too well. So I think I want to figure something out to do there. But before I worry too much about the top part of this guy, I want to get the bottom part sitting in there good. It needs a little bit of adjustment. Get it sitting flat against this tub, and then I can think of something to do with the top of it there. All right, I got carried away beating on this thing, and I got it shaped here where it fits along the Minitub really well. And then as well, I flattened the back of it here so that it fits up in there flush. You can see through these holes here, it's sitting in there nice and tight. Let me pull it out of there and show you. Yeah. There's where I flattened it a bit, got it nice and flat. Looks pretty good. I like it. I would just leave the top on this, but that presents a problem whenever your deck lid hinge comes down. Let's see if I can get a good angle here. Yeah, it runs right into the top of that, and your deck lid won't shut. Okay, I got it marked where I need to cut it. If I follow the curved line there, it'll follow the contour of the deck lid hinge. If I go straight across, then it'll be just fine as well. I'll decide that later. I've also got to weld up that big hole right there, because that's where one of the plug welds is going to go. See that guy right there? Yeah, need to put some meat on there so that I can weld it up whenever the time comes. But for now, that guy's looking pretty good. I'm gonna flip over here and do the driver's side one. Let's time lapse go. It sure is handy being able to sit in here and beat on this thing without having to climb in and out of the trunk all the time. I got her up here. She's fitting real good. I'm really happy with it. I think we can consider these guys about done. They could sit off to the side until we're ready for them. We can move on to rebuilding these guys in some fashion. Let's go around and take a look. All right, here's the package tray and seat back brace and Minitub area. And here's the factory piece that was in there, but it's not gonna go back in there. I would like to use it simply because it's got some cool contours to it and it would look really cool if I manipulated it to get it in there, but I think that's gonna be a lot more work than just taking this guy, bending a flange in the bottom of it and slapping it right up there. So let's bend a flange in this guy and see if we can get it to fit. Okay, I bent a flange in this guy, as well as I put a little wow into it here so that it follows the contours of that package tray. I think it's looking pretty good. I also did the passenger side over here, bent a flange into it, put a little wow in it, and then I put a big wow in it here to try and match up because this has got a little different contour to it. But it's looking pretty good. It'll still need some adjustment, you know, before final fitment, and that'll come after these Minitubs are in here for real, which will come after the floor's in here for real. So I think there's nothing stopping us from taking that floor and putting her in here. Let's do that. Okay, I wiped the paint off around the plug weld holes on both sides, as well as the seat back braces there. I'm gonna go ahead and slide this thing underneath there and lift her up and put her into place. Time lapse, engage. All right, floor's back in there. Hopefully this is the last time. It's looking pretty good. It fought me a little bit, but not too bad. It needs a little bit of adjustment here on the cribbing to make sure it's level and square. But other than that, it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty excited. Next step will be I can pull the rotisserie off the back of it, start cutting in for the Minitubs or something like that. I don't know. I got to formulate a plan. But for right now, I'm going to go drink some beer and take a little break. Cheers.